inspired by the fact that people are like trees. You can look at a tree and see its trunk, but there are also roots reaching into the ground like fingers, and those are aspects of people that you cannot see and that you can never know. So you can never know a person fully, and that's my inspiration for this work. After Alice. It was after Alice left that I understood. The morning light pouring into my bedroom left everything gray and dull. It was a cold, foggy day outside, much like the cold, foggy days that saturated every year in this town. It was very different from my hometown, from Alice's hometown. The disappearance of Alice showed me the tiny separations that made up reality. I would watch dismal, colorless faces as I waited for the morning train to take me to work, and I would see small flickers in their eyes, wars that raged inside of everyone. Reality is made up of separations, and these separations are kept alive through secrets. Secrets that grew in bellies like newborn children, dividing lives into different little cupboards, each housing a pocket-sized universe. It wasn't an immediate realization. The Alice that I knew with the toothy grin and rail-thin figure had deserted me, and I took to this small town, unpacking my possessions into shelves that didn't quite accommodate my former life. Like pieces from different puzzles forced together in an unsightly distortion. I had coffee, surrounded by the prosaic facets of a small kitchen. The separation started with River. River came after Alice, 16, a prodigy and harsh with her words. I met her at a place where no girl her age should have been, and I was weak to her advances like a moth to the flame. She was not a River I was used to. She was not Alice, and she never tried to be. I put on my shoes, the only pair I had. The support was gone, the leather faded and peeling. You cannot run in those, River once chided, her tone uncaring and cold. She was smoking a cigarette on my bed in her pajamas. The day-jump vision I had of her was sultry, sound, free of the pimples and chewed fingernails. You know how cowards like to run. River was mean. Alice could be mean, and it was nearly similar to River's mean, but Alice's mean was fleeting. Forgotten by the time she kissed me and told one of her crude after-fight jokes. I straightened my tie in the mirror, feeling it constrict like a serpent. Peaches knew how to fix these. Peaches came after Alice, alongside River, but they were separate, like galaxies in the vastness of space. Peaches tried to be Alice, the best friend of the forgotten, simple and confused. A mother with children who could outsmart her, and did, often. She would adjust my ties and try to kiss me, but there was nothing in Peaches that I could grab onto. She was too artless, and though tender like Alice could be sometimes, I would reach out and cup her breasts in my palms, small, the size of apricots, and I would feel nothing but a fleeting familiarity. He doesn't know how to straighten his own ties, either. She spoke of her husband with a slight tremor in her voice. She fiddled with the tie around my neck, and I pretended not to notice the tear marks on her cheeks. They both arrived after Alice, like trains in stations I would never think of going to had she stayed. There were canyons of estrangement between the three of us. River could spit out all the cool, perceptive words she could, and we would make love, but that did not change how she left my world to make her way back to a place that housed an absent father, a mother with her nose in a medicine cabinet. Peaches left me unfulfilled and fragile, Peaches left me unfulfilled and fragile, returning to children who never listened, as they were encouraged by their father, a man who would not look at her anymore. Grabbing my briefcase, I headed down the narrow hallway, a ghost floating through a foreign dimension. There was little place for me in the lives of either of them, both troubled and weary. It was after Alice that I managed to slip through the cracks of these separated realities and live in limbo, a coma anyone could slip into to escape for a short while. These little women were small parts of a separated Alice. An Alice that vanished without a trace when I asked for a forever. I stepped out, catching myself from the void, molding myself into the comforts of life. And when the day ended, I'd slip back into cracks, cold